Hi, I'm Kimberly Freeman. I was a Latin teacher in Lexington, South Carolina for 12 years, and that's what I was doing when I was named a Milken Educator in 2015. Now I have the amazing opportunity to work with our human resources team in supporting teachers as they join our profession, and also in helping with all of our immigration processes as we bring international teachers on board. So I'm a world language teacher at heart and have continued to work with world language in this new capacity. So when I think back on the way that I engaged my students as a Latin teacher, one of the things that I realized early on, even in my own study of Latin and Greek and the classics in general, was that there's this immediate need for relevancy when we're talking about ancient languages, particularly ones that aren't spoken anymore. And so when we look at the classics, we have to start by saying, here's where learning this language is not only fun, is not only helpful, is not only great for you as a learner and a reader and a writer, but much more than that, it's just great for you as a linguist and a person because the language still matters. And so the way I would engage students in that from the beginning is to show them the ways that the classics continue to influence both the English language, but also the kinds of things that we do today. We're not just memorizing grammatical constructs and vocabulary and using those to pull apart sentences, but instead we're learning to read and to gain understanding from reading and really to value communication over perfection in the way that we approach language. And so we connected them with that, both through reading authentic text right from the onset, alongside of having them create and write and speak in Latin, and to use that way that they understood language to begin to filter culture and mythology and all the other components of Latin that students enjoy. Alongside of that, we engage them by looking at a way to approach an understanding of the entertainment industry today. And so we would look at things like Harry Potter, and we would look at the work of Rick Riordan, and we would look at all of these different things that are happening and talk about how that began to help us understand modern works of literature, modern movies, modern music in richer and more full meaning when we understood the Latin that was behind them. We think about political climates that affect the way that we teach language. It's interesting. I think sometimes as an American, I have, and perhaps other Americans have, this idea that the things that are happening around us are American kinds of struggles, that they are things that only happen in our political climate. They're things that only happen in modern United States history, that the way people live and work and engage with the world is new or different than it's been before. And while there certainly are some ways in which that's true in a modern era, there's a lot of things that happen today that aren't new. For example, we were reading some ancient Roman authors. We would read some text by Juvenal and some of the other authors who had some really strong opinions about the role of women in the ancient world. And so I remember gathering 8th grade students in a circle and holding a Socratic seminar where we would talk specifically about the role of women in the ancient culture and where the parallels were with that, with what they were learning in their history class about the role of women in the United States, and what they were learning in other contexts about how women function in governments and society around the world, and to have this roundtable conversation with 8th grade students about what they were reading in English and what they were reading in a Latin text, that they had, been able to dive in and understand the language enough to understand what's happening and then to talk about. So some of these things that we talk about and struggle through today are the same things that were happening hundreds and even thousands of years ago in ancient culture. My understanding of ancient language makes me a better student of English. It helps me understand meaning. It helps me understand sometimes even the unintended layering of words and what's beneath them and how to use them appropriately then in speaking or in writing. And so I'm thankful for what I have been given as a gift through language and for being a part of making sure that we provide those same opportunities for students and generations to come.